Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here.
I'm sorry. We've had a morning,
We've had a
everyone. I
morning.
Chris has listened to me rant about tennis skates over here for 15 minutes, and we've had technical. I mean, as you can tell, I'm currently in a corner of my house right now. I've got some family visiting, so I'm literally doing this from a secluded corner in the house. So what a and then Chris technical. We just boy.
Some people have
Hmm.
tried to send us to a corner, but that's for the next video. We'll get into there because right now we're previewing two SEC teams in the NCAA tournament on Saturday. Blake, let's start with Tennessee, which has Michigan. Heard some concern that Michigan's size could give Tennessee some issues. I don't know that I'm necessarily buying that based on what we've seen. How do you see this one? Which, by the way, in this mass of papers, I have got the tip-off time and the channel. I believe it's 4:15 Central on CBS. Yes, Ken Palm has got this 71-65 in Tennessee's favor. Vols a 72% chance to win. How do you see this one? And by the way, if you got a line from our friends at Action 24/7, that'd be a good time to pull that one up too.
Yeah, I'll pull that up here shortly. Talking about the size thing, I mean, Tennessee beat Auburn. I think Auburn's got a little size. And I get it. I mean, it is a team that kind of what Michigan wants to do. And I mean, Hunter Dickinson we've seen is, someone that certainly again can dominate a game, at the right point if he gets the opportunity. And we've seen that this season. I mean, just go through the list, right? Look at how many times that he's put up 20 plus points this year, and really that is going to be. I mean, that's the biggest focus for Tennessee. There's no doubt about it. Like it's just figuring out, okay, he's so efficient, in terms of his shooting and everything that he does. He just gets a lot of good looks, and I think it's a matter of, all right, this is where John Fulkerson, this is where Huntley Hatfield, Adu, Plastics, like all those guys. I think Tennessee has options to make it difficult on him to where
Yeah.
you're not just relying on one guy to say, all right, well, if this one guy can't figure it out and maybe gets in foul trouble, Tennessee's done. Well, that's not the case because they've still got several guys who can come in there and make things difficult, or at least try to. So I think that's something you look at. But again, I don't want to undersell Dickinson because he's a really good player. But I do think if you're talking about the size thing, that is something where I think at least Tennessee has some options they can turn to. And we talked about some of those guys that have really come along here recently. So I don't have a ton of concern about that. But on the flip side, I mean, you know what you're getting from Michigan. Like this is going to be a team that's pretty physical. They're going to guard you. I don't think this is a team that necessarily, when you talk about defense, this isn't last year. I think we need to keep that in mind too. Like I think sometimes it's easy to do that. Last year's Michigan defensively was a fantastic defensive team. Like they
Not
were.
this one.
This one's not to that level at all. Now again, that's not saying they can't be, right? But this is not the same team defensively. They've had a lot more lapses, and you can kind of see that throughout the season. But I just think it still comes down to Tennessee and those four guys. I keep going back to this, but I keep thinking that if they shoot the ball that well, I told you, yeah, I don't remember if we said it on the video, if I said it off the video, but look, if Tennessee shoots the ball the way they've been shooting it, I don't know that there's a team in the country that can beat them. And I truly mean that. Like, I think the way they're shooting the ball right now from the perimeter, I mean, they've jumped into the top 50, I think, nationally now, shooting at around
Man,
37%, somewhere in there.
who would have thought?
Right. And that's the thing is, like, I wasn't knocking Tennessee to start the year. I just, shooting wise, you looked at this roster and said, okay, Vescovi's going to hit some shots. Some of these other guys, but the way that, Chandler's hit shots, Ziegler's hitting shots, James, all of these guys have stepped up. And, like that is the biggest difference to me right now, and this is why I think they're going to have a chance to get to the Final Four. Is they just shoot it so well. They've been so efficient. I said the last 5 games they've shot at 40% or better from three. 3 of those games they've made 12 or more. And remember, this is against good competition. They've played Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kentucky, A&M in that stretch. So I'm leaning Tennessee here. Again, I just think that I said before, I mean, and I'm not just saying this because I have them in my Final Four, but I just think this team is playing with a different energy right now. They're playing with the most confidence they've played with all season long. And Michigan feeling a lot more confident after that win over Colorado State. But I still just think this is a Tennessee team that their chemistry has just it's incredible right now. And I think with the way they're playing, the passing, finding open shots against last year's Michigan team, I think that would have been tough. This year's Michigan team, I think there's enough opportunity there to get those easy shots. And if they can just slow down how things go offensively for Michigan and really knowing what they want, how they want this game to be played. Like they want to pound the ball and get it to Dickinson. If you can find a way to sort of, do something there. And they're not going to shut him down. Let's be honest. If you look throughout the season, there are not many times he's been shut down. But if they can have, that's where again you have options to be able to really make things hard on that. So I think that's the big one here. And when you look at it, I just think that, I mean, really, I think that Tennessee may be set up nicely here. So
I'm going to condense it to one thing, and you tell me if you've got a better summary of it. If you look up the word consistency in the dictionary right now, there's a photo of the 2021-22 Tennessee Volunteers basketball team.
there you go.
And Michigan is sort of the opposite of that. You saw it the other day in the same game with Colorado State. Just Michigan struggles to put it together for long periods of time. This is a game at this stage where two teams that are this disproportionately matched in terms of that, it's just hard to find the upset. And I know it's not impossible. I know Michigan's good, but boy, all the games today, I don't know that I would feel better. In fact, I'm going to look at this. Yeah, I'd like of the 8 games today, I don't think I feel better about predicting any one outcome than I do picking Tennessee to beat Michigan.
Let me look at a couple things here because there's our guy Eric Haslam. I always say he's got some really interesting.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna give one of our partners a little love here. So I'll let you compose your thoughts. The madness has officially begun. It's time for you to shoot your shot, score big on the big stage with nonstop action with MyBookie. It doesn't matter if you're filling out multiple brackets, betting the national championship winner, or simply looking for player and game props. MyBookie has you covered. Sign up today. Use promo code Southeastern to secure a first deposit bonus of up to $1,000. It's simple. Put in $200 and play with $300. Use promo code Southeastern to claim your bonus. College ball, NBA, UFC, no matter the sport, no matter the minute, MyBookie puts the action in your hands with live in-game betting, and choose from thousands of lines and odds so you can turn any game day into payday. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
So if you look at like I said, Eric Haslam, HaslamMetrics.com, he has a section that's like curious trends. And so it just kind of shows you, here are some trends throughout the season for teams in terms of, okay, what's an interesting fact, statistically that may be something that could catch a team off guard. All right. I'm going to run through a couple of these and you tell me if this sounds like Michigan to you. Tennessee does worse versus clubs that prefer the outside shot. Does Michigan prefer the outside shot? No, they don't. So take that one out. When you look at some other things in here, in terms of getting to the free throw line, is Michigan a team that gets to the free throw line a ton? They get a lot of their points there. No.
Well, let's take opinions out of it. Just give you the numbers. Michigan gets 300. Yeah. Michigan ranked 301st in the country at 3-point attempts per field goal attempt. Now, getting to foul line, Michigan shoots at 68%, but let's see, 17.4% of its points come from the line. That's 206 in the country. So, yes, big no on both.
Yep. And so I think those are two things to certainly keep in mind here because, again, that's just data. That's just stats. But to me, they're very interesting stats in terms of, if you're looking at it, because it is a trend. And then you look at those kind of trends. Okay, those are the teams that Tennessee struggles against. Well, I don't know that that's necessarily this Michigan team in terms of how it's built this year. It doesn't really seem that way to me. Now, there are a couple other things to keep in mind on this, and there's one big unknown that we can't necessarily predict before this game starts. Devontae Jones apparently has begun practice with Tennessee. Now, I don't know if he's playing today. I can't find it anywhere. Shocker, right? Like we say this all the time, it seems like.
Yeah.
But if he plays, I mean, let's be real. That's a significant boost for Michigan. So that is something to keep in mind. And could that change, flip a game? Sure, it could. Based on, I mean, he's a really good player. So that would be a big boost to have him back, I think, if you're Michigan. And it would make something where, look, you get your, guy who can kind of lead your backcourt and get him back. That would be significant. So I still think this is just a nice setup for Tennessee. And I think that they are in a really good spot to be able to win this game just based on how they're playing. So,
Did we find a line yet?
I've looked at everything but the line, including Twitter discourse on Dennis Gates.
Oh yeah, that's another video. That one's coming, ladies and gentlemen, because Blake is going to go off on that one.
All right, let me look here. Tennessee. Tennessee. I'm gonna keep just saying Tennessee until I can find this 6.5.
Okay, that's about what I figured. I think Tennessee wins and covers, Blake.
I think there's a good shot.
If Tennessee won this one big, I would not be surprised at all.
I think the way they're shooting the ball, there's a good shot.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk Arkansas and New Mexico State, which is at 7:40 Central.
Good.
We're a little less prepared than we normally are because of just the flood of stuff going
There's
on.
too
So
much
excuse
going
that.
on.
Yeah, that game on TNT, Arkansas, according to Ken Pom, a 73-68 winner with a 70% chance to win. And the line on that, according to Action 24/7, which sponsors our lines, and I'll get you to give a brief promo for our sponsor there, is what, Blake?
Yes, Action 24/7. Click the description below. You'll see the link there. Click on it. South 14's code. First deposit. Sign up. They'll match up to $800. So if you want to bet on any of these games, do that. And just like Tennessee, Arkansas is a 6.5 point favorite.
Okay. New Mexico State playing really well. Teddy Allen in the opener, I'm going to say maybe had the best game of anybody in the NCAA tournament so far.
Yeah, he's looked good.
He's on the short list.
Yeah.
Plays with some swag.
Is it crazy for me to say that I think this is a better matchup for Arkansas than Vermont was?
No, because we pointed out with Arkansas, the thing we were worried about, well, there were two things against Vermont. One was that Vermont would just bomb you into oblivion with the three. And the other was that Arkansas is not the best shooting team around. And Vermont was, I think, number one in the country at keeping teams off the offensive glass. So that was a little bit of a recipe there for an upset that didn't happen. So here we are in round two.
And I'm not saying that to say that New Mexico State can't win this game. I'm just saying it in terms of, we always talk about those first game ones. And Kentucky was a great example of that, right? Where stylistically, if you play a team that just can specialize in something and really just hammer that home, it can be a tough matchup to prepare for. And I think that's why the Vermont game, as we said, we expect it to be close. But with this one, yes, obviously Teddy Allen is, primary number one. Like he's the guy that he is just so good. And, he's one of those guys that we talk about all, like he's one that all season long, like you wish there were ways to watch him more, basically. And we just haven't had a chance to do that. But this is still, we're talking future Mississippi State coach Chris Jans here. And I don't say that full jokingly. Like I think he's probably going to be the next Mississippi State coach. But
yeah, I heard a lot of that last night too, by the way.
Yeah, so I think this is one where if Arkansas can just play its game, New Mexico State is a team that statistically, at least, now if you look back, there have been some, and they didn't really do much of that against UConn. But I told you, UConn, I'm not saying it again, but that just was a very inconsistent UConn team. In no way surprised they lost. But I mean, Teddy Allen scores 37 points. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot after New Mexico, but it didn't have to be, right? Like he put him on his back and carried him to the win. But I always say, right, it's if you can have that superstar, you're gonna have a chance. So, um, I I just think it sets up okay though for Arkansas, and I think it's a matter of certainly you would like JD Note to be on the floor a bit more in this game, and I think you'll need him a bit more in this one. Just because I know he kind of, I mean, he played 27 minutes, right? But for JD Note, that's low. But but he can still just go off in such a quick spurt, and I think we saw that. We talked about Tony and Amude, those guys. Davis has been something, hasn't he? Like he's been
Yeah.
a big part. I think he has to be, and we've said that all season. I think he can just be such an important. I think he's going to be a really important player in this game in terms of defensively what they could do here. So I like Arkansas. I just, like I said, I think it's actually once you get that game one behind you, everybody's picking you to lose. You're playing a team that stylistically is going to play a type of style you don't necessarily want to have to play. Now you play a team that, again, I'm not saying New Mexico State's, I mean, they're still going to be a team that kind of tries to run their offense and get things flowing through that. But, it's a team that does have some size too. And I think that's something you could certainly look at here. And, you've got McCann's at 6'7". Of course, Allen's 6'6". I mean, you've got Henry 6'4", McNair, all those guys. I mean, it's a team that's got some size, and so I think rebounding will be important here. But Arkansas's got Jalen Williams and all these other guys too, and we've seen that some of the guards can rebound as well. So I'm just gonna be honest with you. There's nothing to me that just glaring about this matchup that makes me think, all right, we need to just go all in on that particular stat or anything. Like to me, there's nothing other than we know New Mexico State's a good, solid, hard-nosed defensive team. We know that they turn the ball over a bit, and there's nothing else beyond that. And I think it's just you have to respect the opponent, and I think you got to respect Teddy Allen. You got to respect Chris Jans' coaching ability, and I think this could be one of the more entertaining games of the day, honestly.
Okay, I've been scanning the Ken Palm sheet here for a while because what we do, and by the way, I'll just get this out of the way. This does not change my opinion that I think Arkansas will win this game. But if you're looking for stuff that's a little bothersome, and by the way, I would say what you said is mostly accurate, that I don't see things that just jump off the page and scream upset like they were against Vermont. But average height, you mentioned height earlier. New Mexico State, according to Ken Palm, about 1.5 inches taller across the board. So I don't think that's a big deal, but it is something on here. Arkansas is 212th in average height. New Mexico State's 43rd. So probably one of the taller teams in the tournament across the board. Number 2, and this one bothers me a little bit more. 2 foul participation. Arkansas 11.2%. That ranks 267th in the country. New Mexico State 2.3%. That ranks 351st. In other words, you are playing a team that is one of the least foul-prone teams in the country by that measure. And we have seen Note get in foul trouble. We have talked about what Jalen Williams means to this team, and if he's off the floor, how much that could affect Arkansas. Now, he's done a pretty good job for big in terms of avoiding foul trouble, but it does pop up from time to time. Again, don't get it wrong. I'm not saying Arkansas is going to lose the game. I'm with you. I'm confident Arkansas will win. But if you're looking for some things that could be problematic, that's 2.
Yeah, fair points. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it sets up nicely. And again, the tournament is the tournament. We thought things set up nicely for other teams that have been knocked out, but to me, it seems like it sets up nicely for Arkansas on this one.
Okay, join the thousands of sports lovers playing Stakes, the sports-themed social media network dedicated to everyone from the fanatics to the casual fans. Stakes is a place to prove your knowledge and win prizes and bragging rights by wagering and making predictions against your friends, other sports fans, even some of your favorite social media personalities like us. Sign up, use our code Southeastern14 to wager with us. We've been on the app some the last few days. A lot of fun. It's STAKES. You can find it in the App Store. Again, everything free to play. So join us, and have some fun. All right, Blake, we've got another video coming up because we've had coaching changes in the league. We had some games last night to recap, so let's go to get to that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and again, more videos coming later today.